It is Friday, September 19th. You're watching the Hammer Daily here on the Hammer Betting Network presented by FanDuel. I'm here as your host, Jason Cooper, alongside my lovely producer, Jacob Gramenya, also known as the sharpest dart better for the Hammer Betting Network. Well, I don't know. Name someone sharper.
I don't know anyone.
There we go. So if you're the only dart better of the group, you are by far the sharpest then, right? Or you're also the most square. But
that's true.
So it works both ways.
It
but
does.
It's all about how you sell yourself. That's the most important thing.
Good point.
It's the most important thing. All right, guys, we have a great show for you today. As we always do, Redo loves to cook with his guests, and we have some great guests today. We're going to kick off the show batting lead off with Jack Miller, at JackMiller02 on Twitter. He's does betting, projections, and fantasy work over at ETR. Great prop bettor. Used to do a show with him 2 years ago. Very nice guy. Excited I get to talk to him again. Haven't talked to him in a little bit. And then we have the big dog, Brad Powers. He's the host of the biggest college football betting show in the world. At least that's what I think. Hit the Books. You know him as the host of Hit the Books. But he's going to come on, share some knowledge with us, talk a little bit about the Heisman landscape. We're going to take a look at some of the marquee games this week. And instead of breaking down the games and going super in depth, I want to take a step back and look at these teams that are playing each other and what their chances are like to make the playoffs. It feels like this year in college football, it's a very wide open field to make the playoffs. So I want to ask him who he thinks has a chance of slightly improving their odds this week. So we're going to be taking a look at some playoff odds with these big marquee games. And then, of course, to close out the show, we have G-Stack George coming on. We're going to be talking Survivor. We're going to be talking a little bit about Thursday Night Football, how he feels about Tua, if he's a top 25, top 30, top 40 quarterback, probably around that range. So, yeah, you're going to want to tune into the show and stay for the whole time. It's your lunch hour. You have nothing else better to do than to watch this damn show during your lunch hour. Keep you entertained for the full hour. As you guys know, if you're enjoying the show, smash the like button. Goes a long way for us in the channel. And people always ask us, Jason, I already smashed the like button. What do I do? If I already smashed, I can't unclick it and then click it again. Well, here's what you have to do. Just drop a 1 in the chat. That lets me know that you already smashed the like button. Also, if you're new to the channel, it's your first time watching the show, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. And if you're not going to subscribe right away, hopefully by the end of the show, we've earned your subscription. You can tell your friends about the show as well. It does a lot for us here. And yeah, we're going to get into things quickly with Jack. But before we do, I want to give you guys one bet off rip. And Jacob, I'm going to ask you for a second just to be prepared a little bit here, because I know a lot of people are clamoring for the darts bet. You are by far the sharpest darts better on the Hammer Betting Network.
That's correct. That is correct.
So give us your official FanDuel darts release. Are you looking for the Hungarian darts trophy? Are you looking towards the Modus Super Series? I don't even know what this stuff is. I just saw you banging some darts when we were watching some darts when I was walking in. So do you have a release for us before we get into the show?
First of all, I'm currently not watching darts. I want to make that clear. I was watching when I came into the office, but I'm currently not watching darts. Make that abundantly clear. As for what I would like to bet on, I would prefer to Modus. I'm not a big follower of the Hungarian darts trophy. I will know a lot about a lot of the players in there. No Hungarian darts trophy numbers up right now. Let's look a little bit later in the show.
All right, we'll look a little bit later in the show. Before we move on to Jack, though, just want to give a quick word about BetStamp Pro, the odds screen trusted by pros to win at scale. And for the first time, you can unlock the standalone main market screen without the full props package. And unfortunately for you guys, no darts, but they have a wide variety of all other sports, including NFL, NBA, WNBA, college football, college basketball, NHL, UFC, and so much more, including soccer as well. If you're serious about winning in today's betting market, you need tools that give you an edge. The BetStamp main screen delivers professional-grade access for just $99 a month when billed annually. It's built for speed and precision, tracking 150-plus sportsbooks and powered by BetStamp's industry-leading True Line, showing you the real number so you can move first and move confidently. And because you're listening to The Hammer, you're not going to get the standard 7-day free trial. We'll hook you guys up. You get the full 14-day free trial to put it to the test. Don't wait. Scan the QR code right now on screen or click the link in the description to claim it today. And if you're going to claim it this week, you're going to want to do it today because there's going to be a lot of injury reports coming out for Friday. We're going to be talking about that with Jack in just a second. You're going to want to be by the screen. Jaden Daniels might not be playing. you might want to capture that +3 on the Raiders, and you want to be the first to move, and BetStamp Pro can help you do that. So again, link in the description or scan the QR code that was just on screen. All right, let's bring up Jack Miller. He's an NFL fantasy betting and projections guy for ETR. He's also an NFL better, props better as well. A good friend of the show. Haven't talked to him in a little bit, but excited to have him on. Jack, how's it going? I think we have. Oh, there we go. You're muted, but we're back. How's it going?
Oh, okay. I'm all good.
There we go.
Excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
No, I'm excited. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you joining the show here. Always love hearing your props knowledge. You're pretty sharp at that stuff. Got a ton to work through today, and I don't really know where to start. But I think I want to start with Brian Thomas Jr. because I'm a little selfish. I have him in my dynasty league, so I need to know what the heck's going on with him. Right? We saw that he had an injury, or we were told after the game he might have hurt his wrist. He might have been coming in with an injury, but it seems like his usage is kind of way off of what we're seeing. He's getting targets, but he seems to be shying away from the ball. A lot of criticism in that aspect. Are you worried about Brian Thomas Jr. in this Jags offense? And then again, Travis Hunter I want to talk about as well, because he's being used like Wan'Dale Robinson was used last year, and I think that's like a fair comparison. But you don't trade all these assets to get Travis Hunter to use him as like a short area like screen guy. Like he's a much more fleshed out wide receiver than that. So talk to me about these Jags wide receiver usages. If you think that it's going to improve over time, if you like the way you're using them, just give us a broad scope on these Jags wide receivers.
Yeah, I'm not totally panicking on Brian Thomas Jr. yet. He's still gotten volume, like you said. He had a 28.6% target share in week 2. Obviously, there were some pretty bad-looking plays. If you just watch the game, he had a couple of drops. He had a couple of plays where it looked like he shied away from contact across the middle. Liam Cohen said post-game that that's something they're going to look into. I do still think, given the volume and the fact that he's only caught 5 of 19 targets, this is probably going to be the worst perception people of him all have of him all year long. So I think if the Brian Thomas Jr. manager in your league is panicking, I do think this is a fine buy low spot. I think you have to adjust a little bit from your preseason expectations just with how bad this start has been. But I don't think we should be in full on panic mode yet. And with Travis Hunter, the usage has definitely been discouraging, even if the targets have been there. His average depth of target is only 6.5 yards down the field. They're pretty much keeping him confined in the slot. And last week with Jerry and Jones getting hurt, he actually played more snaps on defense than offense, which kind of shows the season-long downside risk, where if the Jags suffer some injuries in the secondary or on defense and they need him to take on a bigger role defensively, what happens to him on offense. So that's something to monitor just throughout the year. The volume's good for Hunter. I would love to see him get more downfield targets. I think it's hard to have a lot of confidence in him as long as he's being used as like a slot only underneath guy.
Yeah, it's kind of discouraging to see because, again, like we said, you use all those assets. The biggest thing about him was how high people were for his wide receiver talent on top of his cornering talent, right, as well, right? I had Hitman come on here a couple weeks ago. He was mentioning that some people told him that they believe as a just pure wide receiver prospect that there's like a 40% chance that he's better as a wide receiver than Brian Thomas Jr. So a lot of people were high on him, but if you're going to give him this usage, Liam Cohen, smarten up a little bit. Let's see him push downfield a little bit. He's big, he's fast, he's strong. He has the ability to do it. So 62.5 right now on FanDuel for Brian Thomas Jr.'s receiving yards. Is that around where it's been the first couple of weeks, or have we seen a slight adjustment down in his yardage total? I think you're muted on your end, eh?
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good.
I don't have the exact numbers next to me right now. I would assume it's down quite a bit, especially because it's just such a brutal matchup against this Texans secondary. If we were picking a side, according to our projections, the only side we'd bet would be over, but it's not at the level at which we'd actually look into betting it. It's just be so like a very mild over.
Okay, I appreciate that. Let's talk a little bit, talk some rookie running backs because, if you're a rookie, if you went high on the rookie running backs this year in fantasy or just are high on them this year in general, the guys drafted in the first 2 rounds are not looking too hot. We have Ashton Genty, Travion Henderson, RJ Harvey, Omarion Hampton. They all seem to be having, also Quinshon Judkins, obviously with the not suspension, but the contract issues and then the looming suspension. These guys seem to be taking a lot of time to get into form. We'll say a lot of the blame has gone towards their pass blocking inability, but I don't know if that's really the case. It just seems like they're not getting good usage. It could be the case for Travion Henderson, but they trust Omarion Hampton in pass blocking. At least they have been the last 2 weeks. He's significantly outsnapped Najee Harris in pass blocking snaps. Same thing with Ashton Jeanty, like also in for quite a few pass blocking snaps compared to the other running backs they have. So like, what's the issue here with these running backs? And Let's narrow it down to Omarion Hampton, Ashton Jeanty, Travion Henderson, RJ Harvey, and Quinshon Judkins. Rank those guys 1 through 5. Who you would like to have rest of season on your fantasy team?
I think rest of season, it wouldn't differ too much from how it was in the preseason. I think it still goes Jeanty, Hampton, and then I think the last 3 at this point are pretty close. I'd probably still go Henderson, Harvey, Judkins, but I do think that if you were ranking them just relative to the veterans, you have to lower them a pretty good amount. I mean, with the pass down stuff, Jeanty last week actually didn't play on pass downs. They gave Zamir White the 3rd down snaps and Dylan Lobby the 2-minute drill, which was a change from week 1 when we saw Jeanty really be a full-on workhorse. And then the other thing for these guys is that even though like Jeanty and Hampton, even though they're getting pretty sizable roles, they just haven't been very explosive with their touches. That's something we would expect to kind of get better as the season goes on and kind of revert back to the mean. But it definitely has been a pretty discouraging start. And we saw in week 2, Najee Harris and Zamir White and Dylan Lobby grow into bigger roles with the rookies struggling. On Henderson and Harvey, it's a little bit of a different situation because they weren't really expected to come in and be workhorses right away. But even with that expectation, it has been less work for both of them than I think the fantasy community, myself included, expected. And on Harvey, he's another guy where they're not really giving him the true pass down snaps. They're giving those to Tyler Bidet. And then Travion Henderson had a couple of holding calls last week, and we saw Ramondre have a long catch and run. Ramondre is still getting the pass down stuff there. So the usage just pretty discouraging. And yes, we would expect rookies' roles to grow as the season goes on. But if we're talking about fantasy, if you're investing a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th round pick on these guys, you kind of have the expectation that they're going to come in and contribute right away, which they really just have not.
Yeah, been a little bit disappointing there. Also frustrating to see that Travion Henderson, the wheel route for Ramondre Stevenson, it was schemed up for Travion Henderson in practice. They were talking it up in practice, and then because of those pass blocking issues, he ended up taking a seat. And that goes for Ramondre Stevenson. It's just tough to see because Travion Henderson, super explosive guy. You want to see these rookies kind of excel, but yeah, it wasn't the case this week. Let's move on and talk a little bit about some quarterback injuries. We have obviously Joe Burrow hurt, Jake Browning coming in, and then also JJ McCarthy hurt. Carson Wentz coming in. How is that going to affect Jefferson's usage? How is that going to affect Chase usage and Higgins usage? Are we going to see a downtick here? And then also Addison's coming back next week. Let's lump him into this mix as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely bad news for Chase and Higgins, just mostly from an offensive scoring output perspective. I think with Burrow, you'd expect the Bengals to be near the top of the league. And scoring with Browning, obviously the expectation is way different. We did see Browning absolutely pepper Chase with targets last week, which was a little bit different from when Browning came in 2023. Chase's target shares were not quite at the level that we saw last week. I think that from a volume perspective, Chase is going to be just fine. It's more so a little bit of a question mark around how effective the Bengals can be. On the Vikings and Addison, I don't think going from McCarthy to Wentz is a huge deal given how bad McCarthy has been. I think kind of the bigger deal, if you're talking relative to preseason expectations, is just how bad McCarthy has been. So like in preseason, you could kind of tell yourself, oh, the Vikings just did all this with Sam Darnold. JJ McCarthy's a black box. We don't know what he could be. He could be better than Darnold, but it seems clear at this point that he's just not there yet. And so the fact that going from McCarthy to Wentz isn't a huge downgrade is kind of a red flag in itself with everyone on this Vikings offense.
All right, let's skip on and talk skill position injuries because we've seen a bunch right now take shape as we move into week 3, as we always do in football here. Let's start with the Washington Commanders. just before we came on air. It seems like Daniels is not practicing today, which would mean that Marcus Mariota is starting. I don't want to talk too much about that downgrade. I want to more focus on their running back room because Austin Eckler got hurt last game. Unfortunately, most likely out for this season. Sucks to see. Probably done for his career. If he can come back, that'd be great. But he's had a great career in the NFL. My question is, what's going to happen now with this running back room? Because we've seen them cycle running backs last year when Eckler was in. But with Eckler out, is that just going to be a full go for Bill? Are we going to see Chris Rodriguez, who's been like a healthy and active? Are we going to see him sort of take on that role? Is Jeremy McNichols going to be taking the Eckler role? What do you think is going to happen now in terms of this offense? And then let's throw Jane Daniels in the mix. He makes he makes life a lot easier for his running backs, right? So do you think him being out is going to negatively affect his running backs for as long as he's out?
Yeah, I think Jeremy McNichols is the favorite to take the Eckler role from a pass catching perspective. The Commanders trust him quite a bit on pass down. So like the third down and the 2-minute stuff, I don't think that's going to go to Bill Krosky-Barrett. I think that's going to be all McNichols. But the past couple weeks, we've seen Eckler start the game and get the first handful of carries before Bill came in. I think with Eckler out, there's a much greater chance that Krosky-Barrett takes on a pretty big share of the rushing attempts. And then Chris Rodriguez is kind of the question mark in the room. I don't know if he could be anywhere from splitting with JCM to barely having a role after 2 straight weeks of being inactive. It would make sense, given his size, just to get him involved a little bit near the goal line. Yep. But I think that he'd be the RB3 going in. And I do think with Jaden out, I think Mariota is a pretty capable backup, but it's still an enormous gap between a capable backup and one of the best quarterbacks in football, especially one who can run as well as Jaden and open up running lanes for his running back. So I think from a scoring perspective as well as a rushing efficiency perspective, you have to downgrade all Commanders running backs a little bit. But I do think the Eckler injury opens up a little bit extra design carry share for Jacory Krosky-Barrett.
Yeah, and that's like a fresh reminder to never believe what coaches say in preseason. We had Chris Rodriguez as the guy in preseason. We had who else do we have? Not Ollie Gordon, Jalen Wright. Jalen Wright goal line back preseason. Apparently, nope, wrong. Who else?
Shout out
Tank,
man.
Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby's going to be a guy. Nope, traded week after week 1. Get out of here with that stuff. Anyways, let's move on. Talk Minnesota. Aaron Jones hurt, likely out 2 to 4-ish weeks is what they're saying with a groin injury. Ty Chandler is on IR as well. Started the season on IR. Is this full go for Jordan Mason? Are we going to see this guy Xavier Scott come into the mix at all, or is it just going to be like Jordan Mason, 20 touches, absolute bell cow, and you're laughing when you get him you got him pick 80-ish in fantasy. You're laughing with him on your team now.
I think it's going to be a lot of Jordan Mason. The Vikings so far have been willing to put Jordan Mason in the pass down situations, which is where you'd think Aaron Jones would have a big edge, or at least we did going into the year. But the Vikings have really just kind of gone by drive with Jones and Mason, so it seems pretty clear they trust them in all areas. I don't think he's going to play 100% of snaps just because that's so rare for a running back in this day and age. I think Xavier Scott's going to figure in. They just signed Cam Akers to the practice squad. I don't even know if he's going to be elevated or not. But I assume Scott and potentially Akers will at least see the field. But I do think that Jordan Mason is going to be pretty much a bell cow.
Roughly 80% of the snaps, probably, it seems like. All right, last question I want to get to you before I let you out here. Xavier Worthy, who was hurt in week 1. We saw Tyquan Thornton come in week 2, get targeted with 2 or 3 deep balls. It was said in the offseason that the Chiefs would be looking to push downfield more. Obviously, with the Rice suspension coming in earlier than people expected, it seems like Xavier Worthy, for the couple of snaps he played, was forced to play that sort of possession role where they probably like to see Rice play. And I thought coming in that Xavier Worthy would be the deep threat, but now obviously he's hurt. Is Tyquan Thornton going to be that guy where 30% of the games or 20% of the games we're going to see him just catch a moon ball for a touchdown? And if so, are we too low on his receiving yards total? I think last week it was around 18 to 20 and a half. If he's going to be this boomer bust guy, kind of like Shaheed was a year ago, 2 years ago, should we just be hammering his alts, or how are you approaching that situation?
I think last week the Thornton stuff was too low. I think this week it seems like Worthy has a chance to play. Okay. He was limited yesterday. I think I don't think the Chiefs have released their practice report for today. So we'll have to see if Worthy plays. If he does, I don't think Tyquan Thorne's going to completely go away. He just offers such a different element from what Juju Smith-Schuster does. So I think, as opposed to previous years when we've kind of seen Juju just be the fill-in when one of these wide receivers gets hurt, we could see Tyquan and Juju split time a little bit. But I think right now with the Worthy stuff up in the air, it's tough to know exactly what to expect from Thornton.
Very fair. Call me skeptical, but I just think with that shoulder injury, it feels like he's just not going to play for a couple weeks at this point. Like it seems like a tough thing to come back from, especially if you're a wide receiver who gets hit over the middle of the field a ton. You're trying to catch balls. Doesn't seem like a perfect scenario here. Before I let you go, any player props that are still available that you've bet that you want to share with us here? Anything on the board? The floor is yours.
Yeah, I like Travis Etienne's rushing under. I think last I checked, it was around 55.5 yards at just kind of normal, just for props, like minus 112 or whatever. I think with the Jags facing a really good defense and the Texans, and with how good Bashal Tutin looked last week, I think betting on Tutin's role to expand a little bit and taking the under on Etienne in a tough matchup makes sense.
I love it. Can you scroll down a bit, Jacob? Oh, they haven't posted Etienne's totals yet. They've posted Etienne's totals 57.5. They haven't posted Tutin's totals yet. Week 1 we talked about with Hitman taking Etienne's under at 57.5 right now. Sorry. Talking about Walker under, Charbonnet overs. Would you kind of do a similar thing here if Tutin's in like that 25-ish range?
From a same-game parlay perspective, you mean?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, from a same-game parlay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Just because it's a gamble on the carry split.
Yeah.
And so the correlation could be mispriced if the books are pricing positive correlation, assuming it's game script related, but in reality, it's kind of just who gets the work related. So I think that makes sense.
Love it. All right, Jack, I appreciate you coming on, sharing your knowledge with us. You can find Jack on Twitter at JackMiller02. That's at JackMiller02 on Twitter. Jack, appreciate you coming on the show and talking with us here. We'll chat soon.
For sure, yeah. Thanks for having me on.
All right, have a good one, Jack. All right, awesome stuff here. One's in the chat for Jack as he pops on out of here. Got Brad Powers coming on up next. Really excited to talk to him. But Brad, sorry, before we bring you on, we have to do some ad reads. I know you're a big fan of those. All right, let's talk about FanDuel. FanDuel is dropping a featured college football bet, and you've got to pick a side for the Bussin' Bowl between Michigan and Nebraska. Taylor's on one side, Will's on the other, and yeah, they both think they're right. But here's the best part. FanDuel is giving you a 50% profit boost to use when you make your pick. Are you backing Taylor or Juan in Michigan, or are you backing Will Compton and Nebraska? So whether you're riding with Taylor or Will, or just want to cash in on some Saturday action, you're getting a boosted payout either way. Open the FanDuel app, find the back Taylor or back Will bet, use that profit boost, and let the boys know which side you're on. Must be 21 plus and present in select states for Kansas and affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable profit boost token. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/Chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right. We got one of my favorite college football bettors here. He's the host of the Hit the Books podcast. I would say the biggest and best college football betting podcast in the world. Brad Powers, come on up here. Brad, how's it going?
I like your backdrop.
I appreciate it. Thank you. We worked really hard to get that get the studio up and running, and you're the first person to tell me that. Chat hasn't even told me that. So, Brad, appreciate you. Don't want to bury the lead here. I know you have Hit the Books 5 p.m. tonight, 5 p.m. Eastern time. If you haven't checked it out and you're watching the show, what the heck are you doing? You better be there live and tell them that I sent you. But let's talk a little bit about the Heisman landscape. Feels like this year of college football feels like it's the most open it's been in a long time in terms of Heisman and college and the college football playoffs. So starting with the Heisman landscape, any darts you kind of like at the back of the board? Any guys who you see their names and you get kind of interested in? I mean, the top of the board here, who was it? John Mateer, like Carson Beck, like not very interesting names. Like let's take a step back. Let's take a look back. And like, are you looking at any dart throws that you want to take towards the back of the board, or is this? Do you feel like these odds boards are just kind of right where it's at?
Oh, I don't know if it's right. We're not going to really honestly get a decent idea probably until November. It's honestly become a November award. Keep in mind, a lot of the Heisman voters, a lot of the AP voters when it comes to college football, even though they cover the sport, and even though they're paid to do so, they don't watch the sport. So I don't know if there's anything big enough this weekend that really moves the needle substantially.
Okay.
There is a couple of big time matchups next week in Oregon, Penn State, and Alabama, Georgia that will move the needle. Back of the board, maybe Diego Pavia.
Okay.
Just because I like Vanderbilt's schedule the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think they'll be unbeaten playing Alabama in a couple of weeks. So maybe he's worth the flyer. But even then, they're not going to win enough games. Keep in mind, the Heisman's also a team award. You got to win at least 9. And actually, the average regular season wins for the Heisman winner the last 2 decades has been 11. Travis Hunter being the exception on so many levels. Yeah. And obviously he had a big media, driven presence, but backing him that I don't know if anybody has that this year. It's not, he's down the board just a little bit, 4 or 5 names down, but I like Georgia to beat Alabama next week. I think that's of the 2 games, that's the most confident take I have. I like Gunnar Stockton. He just had to throw the year so far against Tennessee on 4th and 6. They haven't seen it. 40-yard throw to the corner of the end zone, over the shoulder, Willie Mays style. If he has another similar throw, we'll be talking, a week from now, Gunnar Stockton maybe being, right behind Carson Beck or maybe even the Heisman favorite. So that'd be the one worth a flyer in my opinion. But I'm sorry, there's just no 50 to 1s that I'm seeing too much value at this point.
All right, that's fair enough. How about this? Give me the thumbs up or the thumbs down. I'm going to roll through 3 guys who I have written down here, and you tell me if you thumbs up, you're okay with it, or thumbs down, you'd be like, Jason, don't throw away your money on this guy. Let's start off with Josh Hoover, TCU, 30 to 1. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Who was that again?
Josh Hoover.
Down.
Down. Okay. Josh Hoover down on 30 to 1. All right, let's take a look at the guy right beside him, Jaden Mayava for USC, 33 to 1. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs aside.
Okay.
Ask me after next week. They got a tricky game at Illinois next week. I don't know if they win that game.
Listen, I'm a USC guy. I'm a believer in this team being a legit team. I know that after this week they have a tough 3 games, but if they can prove themselves, it's a thumbs up for me.
I gave you this because it's a Lincoln Riley quarterback. The problem is if you watch the tape and are really serious, again, most people aren't. He's not the best, not even close to being the best talent on that offense. It's their 2 wide receivers.
Oh, of course. I came on this show last week and said that the wide receiver room for USC is one of the most underrated rooms in the country. Like, let's put some
not
respect.
Enough people are talking about it.
Brad, I love when you tell me that. Put some respect on the USC name. I love it. All right, one more name I have. He's towards the back of the board. He's 80 to 1. I don't know if he has the schedule for it. I don't know if his team is good enough for it. I'm going to butcher his name, but the kid on Cal, Sega Pulatella, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs down.
Okay.
It hurts that you can't even, most people can't even pronounce his name, even people that cover the sport. Nobody watches him, not enough. And he's a true freshman. They're not going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So he is definitely a guy to keep an eye on. Yeah. Because I'm here to tell you, he's not going to be playing for Cal next year. He's going to be making $4 or $5 million a year and playing in the SEC. All
right. Do you like that, by the way? Like with the whole transfer window? So I'm sure you've covered it before, but I've never really heard your take on it. Like, are you cool with quarterbacks doing that now? It's like, or is this just kind of ruined the spirit of the game?
Yeah, I mean, I've had to adapt to it. I'm not wild about it, but I mean, I'm for the kids getting paid. I mean, if you're talented and there's so much money involved in college sports, you should be getting paid. Yeah. The portal. Yeah, I mean, with it only being one window now at the end of the year, that probably makes my job easier, but there's always give and take. I mean, in some instances, there was more variance with there being a spring portal as well. And if you're willing to do the work, and I am, sometimes you can take advantage of it, but it does create less work for me that there's only going to be one portal this year.
All right, a little easier on you. And I think a lot of people are contributing this year being as wide open as it is to the transfer portal. A lot of shuffling around, a lot of teams that aren't familiar, or players that aren't familiar with their teams. Usually we see guys that on the same team for 2-3 years. So let's take a look at some marquee games of the week, but I don't want to break down the games. I want to take a step back, big picture approach approach. And I want to hear your takes on these teams to make the playoffs, because I feel like the teams at the top of the board who we expected to make the playoffs coming into this year don't look as strong as we expected them to be. So the first game I want to start with is Michigan and Nebraska. I know you like Michigan in this game. You talked about it on Hit the Books on Monday. Or was that? I think both you and Kanish liked it. But anyways, Michigan plus 490 to make the playoffs. Nebraska plus 680 to make the playoffs. Is this like a swing matchup for the playoffs for both of these teams? Or do you think they're just kind of dead in the water regardless with how hard their schedule is moving forward?
I'm more on the dead in the water, although I think it swings Nebraska maybe a little bit more because looking at their schedule, they get USC at home.
Tough match. Michigan
has to go to USC. Obviously, still has to play Ohio State, Washington, bunch of games. They already have a loss. So, I mean, a loss for Michigan would be very extreme. They'd be out, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. They'd have to run the table, and you can't trust them to run the table. But if you're to make a bet, pro or against, I'd be more Nebraska pro. And on Monday, we gave out Michigan, but it's a democracy. That's Kanish's team. So I don't have a strong take. I would have been interested in Nebraska if it got to 3. It never got there and won't get there.
Yeah, it seems like it's come back down a little bit then since you guys hit it and moved it. Question though, if you're someone who likes Nebraska in this game, do you think that you should take a little bit of that plus 680 to make the playoffs, or is that just maybe you'll get some I think CLV, but yeah.
I like the way you're thinking. No, I think that diversify your portfolio. I don't think it's a bad bet to make that, because there will be some correlation. Nebraska's win total, with this being a 50-50 game, you're going to see their win total being like the 9.5 range after this game if they were to win it. So, look, a 10-2 Big Ten team is probably in the playoffs. So, I don't think it's a bad bet.
All right, I appreciate that. People usually tell me I make bad bets. I'm happy that you don't. You're not in agreement with those people. Anyways, let's move on. Let's talk Texas Tech and Utah. Utah right now plus 265 to make the playoffs. Texas Tech plus 300. Same question here. Do you like either of these teams to make the playoffs after, do you have a side in this game and you feel like you'd want them to bet one of these teams to make the playoffs, or is it, again, both teams dead in the water?
I like Utah here. Market just bet them later in the week. I like the winner of the game to have a real strong chance. Now, it'll be the clear-cut Big 12 favorite. When you look at the remaining schedules, the winner here is going to be favored most likely in their remaining games. So I think if you had to, of the games we're going to talk about, if you had to make one playoff bet, Utah, to diversify your portfolio. Although I've been watching Hit the Books all offseason. We've been talking about, Utah was 18-1 to win the conference. So that's basically, you win the conference, you're in the playoffs, obviously. So very important game.
Yeah, lucky for me, I have been watching Hit the Books in the offseason. I do have some Utah in my portfolio. Just want to do a favor for the guys who are watching here on the channel who haven't checked out Hit the Books. And if you haven't, give your head a shake. Go check it out after the show. Two more games I want to talk about: Michigan State, USC. USC's been trickling down to make the playoffs all season. I know they have the easy schedule, plus 290 right now. Maybe this is the wrong time to bet them because they're heading into a gauntlet, but maybe this is also the right time, because if you're high on them and you think they're going to win those couple of games, then you might want to take them. So, yeah, plus 290. Do you like that for USC?
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's not the right time this week. I wasn't impressed with them last week. They went to Purdue. Purdue had 3 turnovers in the red zone, and USC still didn't cover the game. So I need this data point. More importantly, I need next week, because next week is a game that USC lost last year. Just quite frankly, they would lose a game. They travel to the East Coast. They play an Illinois team. I think it's going to be an Illinois team off a loss. They got to win that one. And then keep in mind, then they got a bye. Then they play Michigan, who I think they'll be favored against, and then Notre Dame. But let's wait until next week. This is not the right time to buy them. Although, obviously, I'm pro USC this year. We bet over the win total.
I know that. Just curious, though, do you feel like maybe you're a little bit low on Purdue? Because we've talked a little bit about we talked a little bit about the Purdue team with Jeff last week, saying he thinks that some people are too low on him and are too low on them and didn't give them enough credit. Do you think that's a slight contribution to them not covering this USC team against Purdue?
Good question. I'm on Purdue this week, so I don't think I'm low on Purdue.
Okay, fair.
I think this is in the weeds. There was a 3-hour lightning delay. Yeah. It just takes the whole energy out of a game. If you watch any weather delays, so obviously that's going to hurt the favorite. I thought a lot of juice was taken out of that game with a 3-hour delay.
All good. Listen, I'm going to do whatever I can to defend USC. So that's all that matters here. I have you for a couple more minutes. Let's talk TCU. SMU playing TCU this week, plus 430 to make the playoffs. Kind of gross. How do you like that? Texas Christian University.
I don't like either team. SMU's already got a loss. They're banged up on the game. TCU, I mean, I was a buyer of them in the summer. We bet over the win total, but are they as good as a Utah? Are they as good as a Texas Tech? Or an Iowa State? No, I think they're kind of a middling team. You know, win total for me right now projected to be like 8.5. So let's face it, Big 12 teams are not getting the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the playoff. You got to go at least 10-2, and hell, there was 10-2 teams in the Big 12 last year didn't make it. So I'm not buying TCU as a viable playoff contender. Right. But I do hope they go over 6.5 wins.
Just for the portfolio. I love it. Question from the chat from Drew Frustenberger, longtime listener, first-time caller. He said, I know my Cyclones are not the number 12 best team in college football, but how far down do you have them ranked, Brad?
That's Illinois he was asking about?
Yeah.
I don't have them in my top 25. With that being said, I mean, every week my power ratings say bet them, including right now at current.
Sorry.
6.5 point spread against Indiana. I don't have that. So even though I bet Indiana earlier in the week, numbers matter. I would lean Illinois at current. So everyone gets on me. Oh, you don't even have them in the top 25. But I still have them higher than market. I bet Illinois over their win total. So it's not like I'm very anti-Illinois. It seems the market's even more so than me. But yeah, it's an overrated team compared to what the AP poll says.
Yeah, fair enough. And I messed that up. It was Iowa State, not Illinois.
Iowa State?
Sorry.
That's a good question. I don't have them in my top 25 either. But obviously they got more, they got a couple of decent wins. But
okay.
I rewatch games.
All right.
Because I don't have time to watch 50 games at once on Saturday. They were very fortunate to win at Arkansas State. So if you think the Cowboys are Cyclones are going 10-2, 11-1, I'm not buying it. They got 3-4 losses in my opinion in them.
All right. Last question before I have you out of here. You mentioned you're not able to watch 50 games. No one is. What's your ideal college football Saturday? How many TVs do you have in your setup? Or are you someone who kind of doesn't really pay attention to the games live and then after the fact you'll go back and watch the games?
Man, for many years I had a 5 TV setup. I just moved recently. I don't have that same setup at least for this year yet. I got 3 TVs and 3 monitors. So yeah, I'm watching as much as I can, but I'm watching a lot more after the fact when I'm much more calm. So I think it's helped me. I've watched more games after the fact this year than I've had in any other previous season.
All right. Well, it's been a hot debate here on the Hammer Daily, and I appreciate that you're siding with me on this side of the debate, having as many screens as you can. Just trying to enjoy it. You don't have to try and extract all the information from it. It's listen, we only have so many college football weekends throughout the season. There's 12 left, I think, maybe less.
If that, yeah.
So got to cherish everyone. Got to enjoy as much football as you can. Brad, appreciate you coming on. You can catch Brad on Hit the Books today, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Go check out the Hit the Books YouTube channel at Hit the Books HQ. Brad, it's a pleasure talking to you. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks for having me. Take care, guys.
All right. See you, Brad. You can follow him on Twitter at BradPowers7, the number 7, on Twitter at BradPowers7. Before we get into our next guest, G-Stack George, I want to hear what everyone's opinion is on Survivor in the chat, because that's what we're going to be talking about with George, and we'll bring up your questions a little bit later. So ask away your questions. Let us know if you've already picked a team or if you're leaning towards a certain team. But before we do that, gave out a pick last night in the Discord. I said, guys, this is going to lose, and guess what? I was right. It lost. My parlay lost last night. We're not looking like Monday night or Tuesday morning when it was all high and mighty after hitting a 55-1. But listen, if you want to get involved with the conversation, talk with me, talk with Jacob, talk with all the guys here on the Hammer Betting Network. The best place to do that is during our live shows in the chat. But the second best place to do that when we're not live is the Discord. Go to discord.gg/hammer if you want to join the Discord. I believe it's pinned in the chat. Yes, it's pinned in the chat. So click that link, join our Discord, get in on the conversation. We have over 600 users already. It's been up for, 4 days now? 3 days? 600 users. It is on fire. So, a lot of fun in there. Make sure you guys check it out. All right, let's bring up G-Stack George. He's the director of marketing here at the Hammer Betting Network. And he is a sad Dolphins fan after suffering a heartbreaking loss on Thursday Night Football, and he's a true believer that Tua Tagovailoa is not a top 32 quarterback in the NFL. George, how's it going?
Jason, I don't like getting words put in my mouth. I want to ask you something.
Let's hear it.
I tried to give you a chocolate bar to go when we left the watch along. You said, no, I'm going out. And I was at midnight. Did you go out? Like, do you still have the stamina to be going out on a Thursday night when you have work the next day?
I cannot confirm or deny that, George. I may have gone out. I may have had a couple drinks. Luckily,
I only say that because you gave Jacob some shtick on earlier this week about going out, and I want everyone to know that the host goes out too.
Oh, whoa. Define going out. There's a pub near here. Ripped a couple drinks. Went home. Had a good night's sleep. I don't know. You tell me. Am I fresh? Am I ready to go? Am I lacking today?
You sound good today. I can't figure out if you even haven't been to bed yet, but you sound good.
All right, George, we're gonna keep that behind the scenes here. Let's talk about the game last night, which is what you want to kind of get into. Shocked at all by the performance by the Miami Dolphins? I know you were high on them coming into the game. I know they're your favorite team. A little bit of homer bias there, but anything that stuck out to you in terms of that game, or did it go kind of how you thought it would?
Yeah, it felt at times like the Bills offense could do whatever they want, and yet Miami still hung around. If you really think about it, that penalty on the punt and that pick, there was a lot of high variance that maybe the game could have gone a little bit differently. But if you're like some people and you got Buffalo through in Survivor, you're pretty happy. You may have sweat a little bit, and you might be happy because it feels like this is going to be like some carnage this weekend.
Yeah, that's the hope. I know you and I both had Buffalo and Survivor. If anyone was watching the live watch along, I kind of freaked out a little bit, and I was going nuts when that Tua pick happened because I was
I could hear the bass in your voice was getting lower as the game was going on when you started to realize this wasn't the blowout you were expecting.
Yeah, a missed kick can contribute to that, but yeah, you know what? I was happy with the performance either way. Let's dovetail here. Talk about.
Well, first of all, how did we got our Survivor through last week? We got.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, we had Arizona Cardinals. You want to bring up the graphic here? Yeah, we went Jags and Cardinals, which is like, listen, the Cardinals were kind of close to blowing it, but we got it regardless. And in terms of like to start Survivor, getting rid of these two teams early and getting them through is such massive value. How are you feeling about our lineup so far?
I think there's not a better portfolio. Maybe GRP's Coach of the Year portfolio, but this is a close second.
All right, and hopefully the chat's been tailing along with us throughout the past 2 weeks. Let's get into our strategy this week. Same thing as last week. We're going to talk about 3 different levels of comfort with teams. Games you have a decent level of comfort with, games that are potential landmines to you, and then games that you're confident in more than the number is suggesting right now, saying F the market. Let's call that F the market.
No, it's not quite F the market, but it's F Buck the Survivor, the traditionalists and the projections and Survivor type thing.
All right.
Let's start off. To nobody's surprise, I think Green Bay at Cleveland is a game that I have a level of comfort in, but there are some caveats. There are some injuries. We're still waiting to see if the Packers will get their O-lineman back. Mm-hmm. Tucker Kraft's not practicing today, and I don't think he's going to go. Truly, I'm worried about how Green Bay's offense matches up to the Cleveland defense, like especially the front seven. They destroyed the Ravens' run game. Like Derrick Henry was a non-factor in the game, plenty of goal line stops. And if Green Bay does have a banged up O-line and they're missing even one of those guys, I'm not sure how much success they're going to have in the run game, which now puts all the onus on a guy who's a wild card, Jordan Love, who throws off his back foot and has 2 or 3 plays a game where you're worried about the variance of a turnover. And no Tucker Kraft, no Jaden Reed. Suddenly, maybe the Packers struggle to move the ball. On the other side, though, Packers front seven legit. They're all super freaky athletes. They play the run well. Now, I'm curious how good their secondary looks. I think the front seven has still bailed them out, but I don't know that Flacco will be able to expose that. Here's what I do like. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game, but there's a little worry about like late game script and variance of turnovers. So on a personal aside, I'm taking a bet on the first half under 20.5. You can find that right now still at FanDuel. As far as Green Bay, They're only projected at 15% ownership because there's tons of future spots like week 4 at Dallas, week 6 home against Cincinnati, week 8 at Pittsburgh, week 9 home against Carolina. Ultimately, I think Green Bay wins because Cleveland can't move the ball, but I hate their projected percentage of ownership when they have so much future value. So they will not make it on any of my Survivor cards.
Yeah. Also, like if you're in one of the pools that has a Thanksgiving day, they do play on Thanksgiving. They do play the Lions, but you don't want to be limiting your options this early on if you're in any of those pools. Kansas City up next is a team that you're having decent level of comfort in. Talk us through why.
Yeah, I guess the injuries to watch is Christian Fulton hasn't practiced yet for the Chiefs, and I would like to have him back. Besides that, it's a lot about limited. Giants might be missing a linebacker, Darius Mussau. We're not sure if Andrew Thomas is going to make his debut. I actually think this is the get right spot for the Chiefs offense. I know that some people want to make the case the Giants have like a legit defense because of their D-line. That was the narrative this offseason. But their linebacking and safety group is awful, and their corners get torched as well. This feels like a vintage Mahomes game where he can get a lot through the air going. On the other side of the ball, the Giants O-line still is a mess, especially if there is no Andrew Thomas. It's not very good. And while like Russ was throwing YOLO balls against Dallas successfully, which we predicted, we said the over is a good look in that game. This is without a doubt the best defense he's faced thus far. And Spags dialing up blitzes on Russ here could increase like negative volatility for the Giants offense. I honestly like the Chiefs here for the cover. I really like them for this spot. And I'll tell you why. I know they have tons of future value. And obviously, if you've got them in survivors that require Thanksgiving or Christmas, which we're not doing on our Hammer Daily Survivor, they're only projected at 7.5% ownership, which I like sometimes when you can get the Chiefs undervalued compared to market at under 10% ownership. And especially in a week that I think that there are some landmines, because those are truly the only two games that I feel very comfortable with.
All right. Yeah, no, that's fair. Like you mentioned off the top, I think we had this. I don't know if it's just because it's like, I don't want to call it a do factor, but we've seen so many teams bailed out the last 2 weeks that should have been losses in Survivor. And it's like, it's funny. I had a friend reach out to me. He's like, oh man, like it was stat about how many like big favorites have covered and won the game outright. And it's like, this is a Survivor dream. I'm like, no. This is a Survivor nightmare. I don't want to split the pot 10,000 ways. I want to win. I want one person to win, and I want it to be me. Right. So, yeah, it hasn't been good from a Survivor perspective. So hopefully we can get some blood, some carnage, and let's get into the potential spots that are the bloody carnage spots that kind of going to make you pucker up a little bit when you're watching football live on Sunday. First, you want to start with the Indianapolis Colts at -3.5.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. People think I'm crazy for wanting to back Tennessee on the spread. Health news, it's better for the Colts. Charvarius Ward is practicing in full, will probably clear concussion protocol. Latu looks like he's ready to go. On the Titan side, you're still sweating L'Jarius Sneed and J.C. Latham. Like on offense, I expect Indy to move the ball. Now, that being said, I think Tennessee's defense is better than the stats say. So anybody who says like the stats after 2 games, and I always tell you like proceed with caution. Their offense has faced good defenses and hasn't had successful like drives where they've maintained. So I think they've put their defense in bad spots on the field. Getting them right back on the field too early. That being said, I think the Colts is definitely the worst defense that they've played, and I think the Titans offense will move the ball a little bit. Cam Ward with his legs, and I think they'll hit some crossers over the middle. So I think there's opportunities for Calvin Ridley, Chigakwanu. I love Shane Steichen, and I love the weapons they have. I think they have one of the deepest receiving cores. I don't know that they have a true number one, but they have like 4 pretty good receivers. But you're asking Daniel Jones to go lay over a field goal on the road and comfortably take him in Survivor. Right now, the projections are like 4.6% ownership. I don't believe that. I think it's going to be higher because they only have one other spot you could trust them with right now. It's week 8 home at Tennessee, home against Tennessee. So I think the projection's a little bit low. And I think people should proceed with caution if they're thinking about Indy this weekend.
Yeah, I think that's a good point there. People probably want to look to go maybe slightly contrarian. They can take Indy, probably like you mentioned, low ownership percentage. 2 other teams you have here, Tampa Bay at the 6.5.
Yeah. So the story of this game is injuries. We know that Justin Fields is not going to play. and it looks like the Jets will be without Jermaine Johnson. But the big story is the Bucks are going to be with potentially 4 of their 5 starters out. Tristan Wirfs, we don't know if he's going to make it back. There's a lot of doubts on that. Luke Godecki and Cody Mock went on IR this week. Their left guard, Michael Jordan, also. He wasn't at practice today. And if Emeka Buka plays, we don't know yet, and he's even then he's a little banged up. You put Sauce Gardner on Mike Evans. I'm not sure with the O-line how much the Tampa Bay Buccaneers move the ball. On the other side, I'm actually a little bit intrigued by the Jets O-line and how they match up. I think we could see a good Breece Hall game. I think you can throw on the Bucks, and I think Garrett Wilson could have a big game. And really the key is if Tyrod Taylor avoids backbreaking turnovers and it's tight, you know how these one-score games go. And here's the kicker. They're projected at 13.3% ownership this week. I thought that might be high, but I'm talking with a friend who's adamant that he's on Tampa, and I'm explaining to him the cluster at O-line, and he says, I think people overrate injuries in NFL. And I said, all right, if you don't understand why 4 out of 5 starters are out, why that's bad, then I can't help you, especially when they've got a home game against New Orleans and Carolina still to go this season. I don't know why with that kind of future value you'd want to step in front of this train right now with the Bucks.
Yeah, they have tons of value also later on in the year too, where like you can just kind of let them weather this O-line injury storm. Like you mentioned, at home to New Orleans in Week 14, but they're at New Orleans if you want to take a stand in Week 8. Home to New England Week 10. At Carolina Week 16. Home to Carolina Week 18. So yeah, tons of, we'll call them easier matchups towards the back end of the board. Tampa Bay seems like definitely a safe spot here. One more game to talk about in the landmine spots, the Seattle Seahawks against the New Orleans Saints. And I think people are a little too low on Spencer Rattler. This is like the 3rd time I've done it. I don't know why.
And Flup, you guys.
I don't know why. I know the difference between the two.
They're both ass.
Yeah, they're both ass. There we go. Shit quarterbacks just much
better. Better than Desmond Ridder has ever looked.
Okay,
this is a game of clusters. 2 cluster injuries. So the Saints are already ruling out their offensive guard Dylan Raduns. And the only reason he's relevant is because he starts because Trevor Penning hasn't played yet this year. And Talise Fuaga hasn't practiced yet this week. So potentially you're missing 3 starters on the Saints offense, although one was technically a backup. And then on the other side with the Seahawks, Devin Witherspoon didn't play last week, hasn't practiced yet this week. Don't expect him to go. And then they're possibly missing both their safeties in Nick Emanwari and Julian Love. So like, here's where it comes down to. Offensively for Seattle feels like a real big Kenneth Walker game. But also, stop me if you heard this one before, a big Jackson Smith and Jigba game. The guy just is a target pig right now. But Sam Darnold can be an iffy QB at times. This doesn't feel like one of the teams that can cause him headaches, that being said. But on the other side of the ball, this is where I like New Orleans matchup. Despite their O-line injuries, Seahawks are a middle-of-the-pack defense in defensive drop-back EPA and defensive drop-back success rate. So they're and they're bottom 5 in sacks generated. And they're missing a lot of guys in the secondary. So I know the O-line is terrible and it terrifies me, but Seattle's secondary is quite banged up as well. And there's some opportunities to move the ball through the air. Like Rattler has been not bad. Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Juwan Johnson, even Kamara as a pass catcher is not a bad set of weapons. Ultimately, I like the over in this game, which means I think they will somewhat trade scores here. And here's the reason why I want to stay away from Seattle, even though I think they're going to win. They have 20% projected ownership this week because if you don't like Seattle here, you have to take them Week 17 at Carolina, meaning there's no future value on Seattle. So much like Dallas last week, where everyone loaded up on them in an iffy spot because of lack of future value, I feel like Seattle is this week's Dallas. So I don't want Seattle, especially at a 20% ownership.
Yeah. Also, the New Orleans, I feel like the New Orleans team is a little scary in terms of survivor. Obviously, they're not a great team, but with how fast their offense plays and how many plays they like to run essentially on offense, they're go, right? They're not like I'd rather play a team that likes to slow the game down when they're a poorer team because it just creates more variance in the game. So Kellen Moore, we know how fast he likes to play, how up tempo his offense is. So that gives me a little pause here with the Saints, with the Seahawks against the Saints. Let's flip over and talk about the games you're more confident in than the number suggests. The game that you're more confident in than the number suggests, and it's the Atlanta Falcons.
I'm actually quite surprised this ended up on this because when I was thinking about the game at first, it wasn't in that periphery, and then I went through the game. It feels like offensively this is a comfortable spot here for Atlanta. Lack of a pass rush from Carolina. You can run the ball in Carolina. They may have the worst linebackers and safeties in the NFL. So, like, this is a Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson blow-up spot. And we said the same thing about Carolina last week, and they got torched for like 120 yards from the tight ends in Arizona. On the other side of the ball, is this Atlanta pass rush for real? I don't know yet. They've looked really good, but they also played week 1 against a banged-up Tampa O-line. Last week, the Vikings, same thing, banged up. And now they get a Carolina O-line missing their center, Austin Corbett, and guard Robert Hunt, who went on the IR. This is where Carolina might find some success. Is AJ Terrell is out for a few weeks. So this might be the Tet McMillan blow-up spot right here. The game will be dependent on Bryce Young not turning the ball over. Personally, I've bet the over. I like the 43.5. It's still at FanDuel. And like Jason, we don't just talk Survivor. Last week we gave out an overplay, and today we gave out first half under and an over here. So we also give out bets in the Survivor spot. Future spots, if you don't take Atlanta here, week 11 home versus Carolina, week 18 home versus New Orleans. They're projected only at a 5.3% ownership this week, which I like because it feels contrarian and potentially that a game that I feel quite comfortable in.
Yeah, I like that. I'm looking at some of their future value, and I think this game against Carolina is a good spot. Like you mentioned, with those O-line injuries, it could be tough for this Carolina offensive line to manage this pass rush, because I'm a believer in the pass rush. I think I don't want to call it legit, but like I think it's a lot better than people are expecting. They went out of their way to invest in it. And again, remember last year Atlanta, one of the worst pass rushing teams in the league. They were like 30th in generating pressure rate. So even if they're like a little bit marginally better, it could be big here. So George, this comes down to the decision.
I gotta tell you something, Jason. Two things. Number one, so far we've picked against Carolina in our first 2 weeks. We've clearly targeted them. And if Eric Eager watches the Hammer Daily on Friday, he's saying, what the fuck do these two guys have against my Carolina Panthers? Jason, can you believe we're considering fading the Carolina Panthers again? Honestly,
if I'm honest with you, I think they are Atlanta's my number one pick right now. If you're asking me, after you give me that breakdown, George, I'm stuck between Atlanta and Seattle. I don't want to take Green Bay just yet. I don't want to take KC just yet. I know I want to do something contrarian because I feel like there's going to be blood in the water this week. So I'm like very leaning towards Atlanta.
I like the Chiefs too. I think there's because they're projected to be low ownership. And it's the same same spot, whereas like Carolina and the Giants are kind of in the same tier, even though Giants may be better, but Chiefs are probably the best team. They are the best team of the four. And there's something to be said, Jason, about watching Carnage on Sunday, relaxed, not thinking about your game, just cheering for all upsets, being a sour rooter from 1 to 7 Eastern time, and then Sunday nighter. Okay, now let's just get our Survivor through. It's the Sunday nighter. Carnage is there, and now you're feeling pretty good about it.
So you want to go KC?
Listen, I'd be comfortable with either Atlanta or Kansas City. I don't mind a little change up here, going with Kansas City. When else are we going to find a Kansas City spot at 7.5% ownership, where everybody else is? Because usually when it's Kansas City, everyone's piled on in them, and there's no this is our chance to zig when everybody's zagging.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the week 7 looks like. Yeah, like week 7, they're playing Las Vegas. They're 7.5-point favorites. The other good teams you'd want to take there are Chargers, Detroit, both at around 6. Denver -8 against New York Giants at home, but people have already taken Denver. It's a tough one. But can I make the final call or no?
It's Hammer Daily with Jason Cooper, not Hammer Daily with G Stack George. So ultimately, you get executive.
George wants you to take it out of his hand, so if it loses,
the reason I want Kansas City, I've bet them as my triple hammer on the spread, and I feel quite comfortable that Kansas City's winning.
Okay, George, I don't want to make you double up on your triple hammer bet, so we're gonna go with the Atlanta Falcons.
All right. Jason says a big FY to our friend Mr. Eager. We are just gonna fade Carolina every week here.
Listen, that's only the case if we come in tomorrow or come in next week on Friday and we take New England as well. Then that's the big FU, okay? Like, but we might be leaning towards that. Who knows? Anyways, George, I appreciate you coming on. We ran a little bit long here. Wasn't paying attention to time. I apologize, but again, thank you for coming on. You can follow George on Twitter at George Tsilfidis. You can find that in the description. George, we'll talk soon.
Take care, my friend.
All right. Appreciate you, George. Have a good one. All right. Great show today. One's in the chat. Smash the like button. You know the goddamn drill. And if you made it this far and you're new to the channel, you like the show, do us a favor. Hit the subscribe button. Goes a long way for us. We're trugging along. We're getting along. We're almost at 3,900. I think we can hit 4K by the end of the month. So it's just past halfway through September. I think
end of the month. I mean, end of next week. Surely.
You know what? Do it. I like to set goals, and I like to try and set achievable goals. End of the week does seem achievable, but
that
it's
is achievable. Not end of this week. End of next week.
Oh, end of next week. Okay, yeah.
5 more shows after this. We can do it.
That's the goal.
Subscribe.
That's cool. Also, just looking in the chat, it seems like a dead even split between Chiefs and Falcons.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
and others.
Appreciate you guys. Again, smash the like button out the door. Next Monday, we're back, noon Eastern time. We got Corby Craig coming on. We got Judah Forking coming on, breaking down Monday Night Football, recapping college football the previous week. Third guest is going to be a little surprise. And then coming up next on The Hammer, we have Hit the Books Live, 5 p.m. Eastern today. Talked all about it with Brad. If you're not watching it, what the hell are you doing? That's by far one of the best college football, or the best. I don't care. I get to say it. The best college football show out there right now if you like betting. 5 p.m. Eastern on Hit the Books YouTube channel at Hit the Books HQ on YouTube. And then Saturday. It's 11 p.m. Eastern or 12 p.m. Eastern. I think Hitman switched it to 11 p.m. Eastern time. 11 a.m. Eastern time. Saturday. The player prop show is there with Hitman, and Jacob's going to be taking my spot again. And then, of course, in the morning, Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time, Pizza Buffet is going to be live with Rob Pizzola, breaking down every single game on the NFL board, talking through what sides his numbers like. He does a little bit of prop stuff, too. Last week, likes to throw anytime touchdown darts. I was in the chat. I gave out Jeremy Ruckert. Rob saw that, and then at the end of the show, I was like, maybe I should also give out Jeremy Ruckert cash. So, yeah, if you want to have some fun, last-minute football darts, that's where you want to be. So, yeah, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for joining the show. If you can, tell a friend. Goes a long way for us here on the channel. Yeah, we'll talk to you guys next week. Have a good one.